Sorry, it's me again, so I have to talk again. So, wait, I'm not good with technology and digital stuff. It's a very bad thing. Good. Let's me try. Okay. So, for this session, we'll introduce to you Velowoods English, which for us we're very proud about, because we find that we wanted to do Velowoods because we wanted to introduce a different way of learning English. And for all ages, whether the students are 11, 12-year-olds, or they are retired and in their 60s and 70s and they still want to learn English. And for us, that was quite important to create something quite generic for a different audience. To start with and to follow up on the presentations that we just had, when we wanted to develop Velowoods, we thought, okay, what's our starting point? The starting point was to design something that learners will be able to do self-guided and to be able to do on their own, and potentially, if they want to do it as well with the support of a teacher, they can also do that. And to be able to be mapped to the CFR, to the language qualifications, which we talked about, because there's no use of just doing a content that doesn't help users or help learners to get where they want to get in life. And to cover, as we said before, all the language skills. So it's not just something, because sometimes you have digital products that focus on speaking, or a digital product that focus on listening or reading or one skill. So having something that covers all language skills was quite important. So that was the main principle. And the other stuff, which were pedagogical stuff, so we wanted to think of material and stuff, how learners learn a language, and what's the kind of second language acquisition theory, for example, and stuff like that. First you are presented, then at the 3 Ps, you are presented a language, and then you practice it, and then you produce it. Typical stuff that are always used and have always been used. So we didn't want to reinvent the wheel in that aspect. You know, to have the communication, as we've been talking now as well, the importance of communication when you're using a language and being able to produce it and express yourself. And again, stuff like interaction, immersiveness, stuff, so it's not very passive, it's not something you just watch yourself, you need to interact with, you need to be immersed with it. That when you're learning the language, you should not always, you know, this word, what does it mean in my own language? Or this grammar rule, how does it apply in my own language? You need just to completely almost switch to that new language and be completely immersed in it, and that will help. It might be more challenging, but it will help in being more useful and more the acquisition. And of course, you always need feedback when you're learning. You need to be told that you're saying something right, something wrong, and how you progress that and get assessment to check that what you're learning is correct. These were all just general principles. And with that, and with what I talked about before, about the changes in technology, how learners learn, and having that content that's out there, that's used by, you see it in all books, you know, from Cambridge, Oxford, Macmillan, Pearson, the curriculum for teaching English to the CFR, it's all there. And then we thought, okay, then you have all of these other elements of how the industry is changing, which we talked about. So we put it all together, I like to think like in a mixer, and we blended it all together, and this is how we got Velowoods. And the approach that we wanted to do is that we thought, okay, people travel to English-speaking countries to learn a language, but that's very expensive. That's not available for everybody. It's not fair. So how can we make it available for everybody? And that's why our approach was that you have that content, you have these lessons. What's important is trying to create a way that you get the learner to live that language. Because remember, we also mentioned you learn better by doing. So we wanted the learner, instead of watching a video of somebody or a group of people going to a restaurant and ordering food, or then another group of actors going with another video to watch, to buy clothes and stuff, We wanted the learner themselves to be the one going to the restaurant with people they know or they've met, and then they do that as well. So there's a bit of continuity. So not alone they're doing the language and they're using it themselves, but actually there's a sequence why they're doing it, and they're always doing it with the same people. So we bring in that story element that we talked about before. So basically not only that, and then they're experiencing that real life situations, which is very important, because a lot of content and a lot of experiences and a lot of language that are real life situations. But experiencing that and having speech analysis built into the experience that we have enables the learner to speak to characters, for them to respond, to make it more real as much as possible. So, and that from a pedagogical point of view, it makes you easier to understand the language, because then you're seeing it and then you're involved in it, so you get it more. And of course, it makes it easier to retain it, as we said before, because of the storytelling, because you're doing it, you will remember it more, then you can retrieve it from a memory easier. And because it's nice, you know, it's not segmented, you're not just watching this video and then watching this and then watching this. It's a continuous experience. And that continuous experience will make it more enjoyable and makes people perceive digital content better. And we were just talking about this as well earlier, is that you have digital content. There's a lot of digital content out there, you know, from stuff on your mobile, from stuff in media you watch on TV in a classroom, to videos and stuff like this. But not all of it is as engaging as other content. And then sometimes we use it, we have bad experiences because it's just basic stuff. And at the same time, if you remember when we talked about the younger generation, the younger kids who are, God, that's so close, and learners, sometimes they say, you know, they're comparing technology on what they play in their mobile phones or tablets or PlayStation. And then we put for them a video of some actors. No, this is your digital content. We're using digital content. But that doesn't compute to what they're used for, or what they expect. Their expectations about technology is much, much, much higher than what we know. Because when they use it in the entertainment world or for fun, it's really cool. But when we use it in education, in many, many, many cases, even for adults, it's boring. And that's the gap that we feel that we needed to make smaller. We wanted education to be nice, to meet expectation from technology that the learner will have as much as possible without losing the educational element to what people are used to in their day-to-day life. Because that then will keep them engaged. And as we said before as well, because the content is content that's generally used, we didn't reinvent that content, it's the same content that will be mapped to international qualifications. So basically how that this whole mix works, I'll just go through a couple of points very quickly, just conscious of time, but just give you a better idea of what we've done. So we start first that if we're doing something digital, it needs to be multi-device, so people need to be able to use it on their phones, whether they're Android or Apple, or tablets, computers, if they have a desktop or a laptop, Mac or Windows. So the devices that people are usually used for, it should work on all of these devices. And now people are more used to downloading applications. You know, so you download an application, it's now moving away from the browser-based stuff. And the reason why when you download an application, you get better stuff. So you can be able to do more with the technology than what you can do through a browser, and then create a nicer experience. The other element, as we said, to create that the person is doing the language and living that real life situation, we created that virtual town of Velowoods. And the idea is that the learner is moving to a town called Velowoods in the UK, which is an English-speaking town. In that town, there's people that are living there. They're not other learners, so they are characters that we create and we script. And these people are from all around the world. Some of them are British, some of them are American, some of them are Australian, and some of them from different parts of the world. One of them is Thai as well. So, and they speak English, and some of them they speak a bit with an accent, which is fine. and we control all of that. But again, it's very important to get the learner to hear English in different forms and in different accents and stuff. But of course, there's no extreme accents in all of it. And that also will help them later on with qualification and better improve their listening skills. But what's most important in all of this is that the characters and the people are living there. They are the residents of that town. So the more lessons you do, so each lesson by lesson that you have in the book, we transformed into a sequence of events and the storyline that you will be living in Values. And that makes it very important because you're doing stuff with the characters, you get to know them. So it's like the learner is a part of a mini-series, it's part of a story. And remember that importance of the story. That because it will impact them on how they remember the language and how they will engage with it, and they will like it, and it's nice. And the issue we've seen in the market a lot is that you rarely find, or sometimes you don't even find, any content that's targeted to teaching English for learners above the age of 12 that's remotely nice or remotely fun. It's as if like once you reach 10, 11, 12, all the content as a child has songs, has stories, has lots of nice things and engaging. Sometimes you have puppets. But then once you reach 12 and you need to continue learning English, it becomes very dry. Your life is over in terms of fun. If you learn English, you need to be very serious and you can't enjoy it anymore. And we don't agree with that. We wanted to make it nice. And of course, we don't want to have songs and dancing and stuff, which like kids. But it's still, if it's a bit nice, why not? We all like movies like Shrek and Frozen, and okay, I don't like Frozen, but Shrek or Toy Story or some of these movies, you know, they made billions, not because only kids can go watch them, because more adults go watch them than kids. And because they're nice, they make you feel good, you enjoy